Okay, yeah, so, for my very basic understanding of things at the moment, there's two very important parts to getting a deal done. And number one is obviously the finance. So, and the terms that are involved in that, as well as finding the deal. And it really does sound like you can help me with all of those things.
Yeah, and look, 100%. I'd say to my clients all the time, and I'm really picky about the mortgage brokers that they'll actually even use.
Yeah,
I need to make sure that when they come to me going, oh, my broker's, I'm like, okay, who's your broker? What's your experience? It's my auntie, it's like, I want somebody who understands property investment, who's going to do everything
absolutely.
right. And the deal as well, finding the deal at the moment, in the market we're in at the moment is tough.
Yeah.
So, I'm actively out looking for property deals myself, which are, we're looking at the moment. So, getting them off market is the hard part.
Yeah, well, that's actually an interesting part. So, obviously you've said that you actually invest yourself, which is a really important thing. I think for anybody in your team, they really do need to know what you're trying to achieve and hopefully have walked down that path so they have a better understanding of what you're trying to achieve.
And not just been a lucky investor who's just stumbled into the right properties at the right time. I've lost money on property, so I know not to do that again.
That's important.
Important lesson, yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've done, or tell me about some of the successful deals that you've done?
The successful deals, it varies. We've done 2 into 4 subdivisions.
Yeah.
So tricky subdivisions where councils say, no, you can't subdivide it, but you speak to a planning consultant who knows, how to subdivide it.
Yeah, so actually you go to council and you put forward a case and...
Yeah, you might speak to the planner
and
they might say, no, you can't subdivide this. So subdivisions have been the trickier deals.
Yeah.
And the trickier deals tend to have more risk attached. But if you know what you're doing, you know what the outcomes are going to be, and it might take time for deals to come through, then then that's worthwhile. I've known people that have done townhouse deal like 1 into 7, so bought 1 block of land, turned it into 7 townhouses first deal, and I thought, wow, that's amazing, and they lost a heap of money.
Oh, okay. What, just they just overpaid and because there is that saying, isn't it, that you make money when you buy the property.
Yeah, yep. And that's very true.
Yeah, and then managing obviously costs throughout the way. So when you actually purchase that property, if you make the right purchase with the right terms and in the right place with the right conditions, that's when you make the money. It's not afterwards when you're trying to sell the property, because you've spec'd it up and made it look beautiful.
Or you've thought, this is what the end value is going to be. I think it's going to be this.
Yeah.
Thinking, and along those lines, we've had a mantra, a friend of mine and I, sometimes the best deals you do are the ones you say no to.
Wow, okay.
The deals you don't do are the ones that...
Yeah, and you kind of go in
and you look back after, you think, oh, geez, I'm glad I didn't do that one. Bloody hell, would have sunk on that. So, it's not just doing a deal for the sake of doing a deal.
Yeah.
Getting into a property, getting into a purchase, and, you can spend a lot of time, a lot of activity to come out at the end with $5,000 after you've spent 6 months of hard work, thinking that's going to be great. Why bother? You might as well go and buy a retail block of land, do a build and do that in the right area and just sit on it.
So I have a dream. Can I tell you about my dream?
Do, please. Go, sorry.
My dream is, and nobody's allowed to copy me, okay, because it's my dream, is to find a larger block of land somewhere, and I wanted to build turn it into like a multi-family property, because for me personally, obviously my situation is I need cash flow.
Yep.
So my biggest dream was, you read about those things where people will do a multifamily build and then they'll sell half of it and then they'll keep half freehold to collect that rental income as well. That's my dream. Is that's still possible in this kind of market?
100%. It's doable.
You just need to know where to look. Is that right?
Yeah, you need obviously to find the land. You need to structure it how, the right sort of structure of property that goes in there.
Yeah.
Are you doing multiple units on one title or multiple units on one block?
I just wanted to keep it under one title because obviously if I own them all, Well, that's my thinking in my head. See, that's why I was getting really excited. But is that wrong?
Oh, no, it
Well, you
depends,
can't
on the
actually
area.
have them all on one title.
Yeah, you can have 2 or 3 on one title, yeah. Or you can have one on a community title.
Yeah, okay.
So you might go community title versus Torrens title, where everything sits on its own title. There's nothing wrong with the community title. Quite often, developers will do a community title block because it's cheaper. Or they may have to because it might be a hammerhead or double hammerhead or battle axe as they're called. So it's the main house sits at the front and you do a driveway down the side and build one at the back.
Yeah.
You could do something like that. We had been looking at through our network at they're not in South Australia, but it doesn't mean it couldn't be done here. Where co-living, where you might have a 4-bedroom house. This takes a bit of thought. You need the right configuration where it's aimed about professional sharers or people that are sharers, not necessarily the old crappy share house where people just sat around and there was 4 people through a lounge room.
I was looking into this. I'm very excited.
So everyone gets a bedroom and a lounge room. So the configuration, they pull the garage out and the garage gets turned into 2 lounge rooms.
Yeah.
So one person gets and they'll get an ensuite as well. So the house is built. So it's a standard house, like 4-bedroom house, 3 bathroom. Or was it 3-bedroom? Might be 3-bedroom house, 3 bathroom.
Okay.
So each person gets their own lounge room and bedroom and ensuite. Okay. So it's just a configuration of the house. So
yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
And so you can actually help developers, property investors, if they wanted to, because that's exactly sort of like what I wanted to do. And
that just pushes your rent yield up because each person in that house might pay, if they're paying $180 of rent per week, what's that, $360, $540 rent per week. Well, that house may normally, just as a 3-bedroom house in that area, may only get $400 rent per week. So that's an extra $140 per week coming in.
And do you find, though, that that's harder to find property managers to manage it? Because that's what some are told.
You need to find the right property manager who will look after that.
But you've obviously got people like that in your network.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's something, it's newer to our network, and we're pretty conservative as a network. We're not out, there's other sorts of properties you can do as well, which are dual key, where they're not in South Australia as much, more in New South Wales and Queensland, where you have a 3-bedroom house one side and maybe a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom joined onto that, all on the same title, but they have, each has a garage, each is independent living, so you can rent both sides out. With dual key though, there's a lot of them interstate, a lot of them through Queensland, and a lot of them in areas that are just flooded with dual keys.
Wow.
And the council are getting a bit cheesed off with them.
Okay.
So some councils are turning, they don't want them.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask that. Like, do you find that it's a real struggle to get those sort of properties through council?
Yeah, but then they need to be. We've got a certain quality that we'll maintain on those. Yeah. So fair enough, you can go and get them anywhere in some states.
Yeah.
But you've got to be very picky about the ones you do get involved with, because a lot of people go, "Oh, it's great, I'm getting all this money coming in. That's fantastic. But you're not getting any capital growth. You bought in a crap area. Your tenants are trashing the place, and you're just not getting those quality metrics that we like to see."
Wow. I've got $5,000. Can I give that to you now?
Give it to me. I don't know what I'll do with it.
We'll talk off camera.
I might end up in Thailand.
I don't know, get you very far, unfortunately.
No. So, and unfortunately, $5,000 won't go too far.
No.
But there's definitely ways of, like we've discussed then, if you can find deals off market of getting investors in, you need to work hard on how to do it.
Yeah.
But there are opportunities for people to go out and actually get investment properties without putting any money in of their own.
I'm listening.
Using investors' money, they do an improvement on the property. It's just finding the deals, and then you've got to find the investors afterwards.
So then, obviously, if I wanted to work with you and I have no money, which is quite obvious right now. So if I went out and I found some deals, so I put in, a bit of the hard work as well, like maybe trying to talk to people and, seeing if, I could find big blocks of land, or maybe you could give us an idea of what people were looking for. I guess you work with investors all the time, don't you? And so you would have a really good idea of what those people were looking for and what will work. And people could come to you and just say, look, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And have an opportunity to work with you in that way.
Definitely, yeah. And that's something, 100%. So, there's things we could look at spotters fees on that, or even partnering on a deal.
Wow.
If somebody brings a
Yeah.
deal to us, and we can get the funding, or there might be people who've got the funding that are sitting there going, well, I'm getting 1% in the bank.
Yeah.
Can I put that to better use somewhere else and lend that into some of these deals? Again, it's like properties that can have a good value add to them. Generally, if it's bought off market, that's probably better. And people go, "Oh, why would I sell off market in the current climate where prices are like that?" It doesn't mean that you're going to get any less for your property by selling it off market. You might actually get more, but your terms are favourable quite often as a seller. Now, somebody might be in a bit of financial strife. They might need a bit of propping up on the finances, so we can come in, and we're not like vultures on a carcass. We're just trying to help prop people up and work on a deal that works for them, keeps them out of bankruptcy, because you don't want to be in bankruptcy. That's one thing we really want to avoid.
Yeah.
Because that stays on your credit file forever.
Yeah.
Not forever, sorry, I think 7 or 8 years. So you want to avoid that at all costs.
Yes.
We can work with them to do that.
Right.
And negotiate with banks and maybe do a renovation on the property, sell it at a higher amount and split some differences, or agree on a price before. The other thing might be where you might have people that want to sell, maybe older people who want to sell, they're not quite ready to sell straight away.
Yes.
Now, they might be on a big block of land. They might know that a developer will come along one day, but they need a bit of time to actually work out what their next move's going to be.
Yeah.
We might be able to come in, speak to them and say, all right, well, we'll buy your property for this agreed amount. We'll execute the contract, which means we'll just agree to the sale and date at a flexible time within 12 months. And, when you're ready, so that gives them time to pack up the house, find accommodation, maybe if they're going to downsize in or go into a higher level of care or something like that.
Yeah.
They know that they've got the money ready and waiting as soon as their property comes in, but they might have allowed us to come in and either renovate parts of their property, which would all be on a legal agreement, or get the subdivision ready for when they do leave, that, okay, we're ready now for them to take the next step.
Yeah.
My clients or myself, we can then come in and work with them to do that.
Yeah.
And it's a much smoother transition. It's not like going to an auction where grandma's selling her house and bang, 30 days later or 45 days later, you're out. It's a smooth transition. And when people are a bit older, it just, works with them a bit better. But it doesn't necessarily mean the house is going to get knocked over either. It might just be that it gets renovated and on-sold or, So there's a bit of flexibility to actually selling off market as well as buying off market.
Yeah.
But it needs to be win-win for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think if everybody's on board and everybody understands, it's a huge communication thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bringing people along and letting everybody understand completely where everything's at, so that people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And nobody feels vulnerable or feels
100%.
like they have been taken advantage of, and everyone's just.
And that's open communication. It's just sitting down with people because, grandma might somehow get approached or we get introduced to grandma and she understands and thinks, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, my goodness, I don't have to get out now and, I can take my time. And then the children are like, well, hang on, who's trying to take advantage? And when you actually sit down and say, hey, look, this is what we're actually trying to achieve. It's, it's going to work well for you on the time frames. You know that you've got a sale locked in. You don't have to scramble around at the last minute. Here's what we're intending to do, potentially with your property. Sometimes it's actually a sigh of relief. People are like, oh my God, thank goodness, because it's the kids that have got to go in and try and clear the house out and do everything inside the house and get all the affairs sorted out and all the government departments, everything changed, and sometimes it's actually that bit of a relief for everyone. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, that's interesting because, like, for example, I know a lady whose husband is a hoarder. The hoarding was so bad that she couldn't actually live in the house. She actually had to move out.
Yeah.
And the gentleman actually passed away in that house. And she couldn't bring herself, I mean, she'd been through so much. But she couldn't bring herself to go to the house to clean it out. So what actually ended up happening was, unfortunately for her, like she didn't have any other avenues. And at the time, I didn't really know that all this was going on either. Otherwise, I might have
got in there and helped.
But she basically just undervalued, sold it. And she's still suffering financially from that because she actually ended up paying for people, like external company, to come and move in. Like, I think she went through I don't know how many bins.
Yeah, and that's something we'll look at as well, is a hoarder house. Again, people are too embarrassed to actually have open inspections. And
That's it. She was so afraid.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't want anything to get out, and obviously it was so traumatic and emotional for her.
Yeah.
That, you know, if somebody were to come along and just say, look, you know, we can help you, we don't want to take advantage of you, we'll pay you a fair price for the property, but take these hassles and that
You don't have to worry about anything that's inside,
Yeah, I mean, she would have been in such a better position, I think, now.
Yeah, and even her emotional state would be a lot better as well.
Oh, so much.
Because if there's
So
things
much
you go
better.
through the house, it's like, all right, what do you want to keep? Is there anything inside the house that you want to keep? Let us know. If not, and obviously, you know, there's a fair cost of disposing of all the rubbish and getting people in to do that. But if you just know that somebody's given you everything out of the house you want, you know, it's a fair price that they paid for the house.
Yeah.
Obviously, taking into consideration their costs and what they've got to do on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's another win-win. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Oh, gosh. Well, no, thank you so much for
No, that's
talking
right.
to me about everything. I know I've taken up so much of your time.
Fine, no, look, happy to have a chat. I could talk property until the cows come
Oh,
home.
do you know what? I might hit you up for another session later on if that's okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's fascinating, and like I said, you've walked exactly the path that I've walked, and you know where I want to go. So you know, you're actually someone that I'd love to model after.
Thank you. Yeah, cool.
And just hearing about what you're doing is just really fascinating. So now, if people out there want to reach out to you, how would they go about doing that?
Easy. They can. So my business is Prospa Property Advisory.
Yep.
So they can just jump on our website, Prospa Property. So PROSPA property.com.au, or they can just tag you on the page and tag me on your page as well. I'm happy to reach out and give me a call and have a chat and go from
because
there.
you've got so much to offer. I think so many people of all different levels of investing, like right from the more experienced developer, like in terms of the finance, you can help them with that, and then the noobs like me, who have no idea what's going on.
Hey,
and just
you'll
trying
be
to...
in there soon, don't worry about that. So,
Yes, that's it. That's the goal. That's the aim.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
no, thank you so much.
No, Sharon, thanks for having me on. It's been a great chat. Look forward to doing it again.
Hopefully, it hasn't been too painful for you.
No, not at all. No, look, it's been great. And, you know, it's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then you sit down with somebody sometimes and you start talking, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. And it opens up a whole new world of
So much.
what's possible. So, cool.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Cheers.
And thanks very much. Cheers.